Oh boy. As soon as I start the stream, need to sneeze. Fantastic timing. Yeah, well, guess we can't have everything perfect in life. Just doing some modifications. Okie dokie. Hey, Travis and Daniel, Miles. Geez, you guys are regular do nothing until I turn up type people, aren't you? Seems like. Don't you have lives? Surely you do. Or maybe everything is just waiting for these streams. Okie dokie doke. Alright, well, I've just got to put a fan back into this unit. Hope this one spins. Yes, this one spins. Thank goodness for that. The previous one was delightfully jammed. Raspberry jam. Hey Jim, I was wondering if you'd make it. I deliberately tried to do as early as I possibly could for you, Jim. Hey Gavin, Barry, Ratmole, Cohen. Okay. Yeah, and I sort of dismembered the old fan. It's in a pretty bad state. I thought maybe it was just some simple obstruction and I'd be able to clear it or flush it out, but turns out it's actually was a bearing failure in there, so nothing I can do about a bearing failure. I even tried to dig it out. No luck. Full replacement required. Wow, something really is actually trying to set off my sneezing today. Yeah, well, probably all the black mold or something. What have we got here? Alexi. Okay, we've just got the Phillips. And this here is a brace plate that sits inside. I didn't bother putting it back in. Get out of here. We've got the bugs because we had the rain, so now we've got the bugs. It goes hand in hand. I was a bit disappointed today. I had a Lenovo Yoga C930 come in, and amazingly it was fixable. And I thought, yay, it's fixable, and I was recording. Only I wasn't recording. I was quite mad about that, because that would have made a good YouTube video. And now I've got nothing. Okay, you gotta be careful with these. They have a tendency to break along these. These are plastic here. They'll see it's already happened once. And it's a spudger. It's a tickling on the nose, like I've got a little fluff or something there, but it's not, but it just feels like that. Come on. Junk there. Get out. There we go. Now I've got to remember how to actually disassemble this. The scariest thing about these laptops more than anything I find is reconnecting the battery. Not because I'm worried about electrical shocks or anything, but because they have such fine pins here, and the Lenovo is the same. Such fine pins that it's very, very easy to bend them. And then they do have multiple pins per rail, but hey Tony W, John. Yeah, they do have multiple pins per rail, usually like 3 for the positive, 3 for the negative, and then there's the communications pins. But oh man, where do you go? Oh, you go there. Cool. But yeah, they get mashed up, and before you know it, you've got a short circuit in there somewhere, and it's all lots of sad noises. There's Civil Up. And we've got Norway here. Just trying to remember which way this cable routes. I don't think it actually does. Sort of, I'm used to them snaking high, low, high sort of thing, but I don't think this one does. In fact, if anything, it's going to just be, no, it just looks like low, low, low. Naturally, of course, I've forgotten what it was like when I removed it. Okay, this one definitely goes over. Do you go over? No, it makes more sense for you to be under. Obviously this is not a needlessly, it's not a complicated job, it's just a case of, the biggest problem with this was actually waiting for the part. With the Chinese New Year and COVID, and there were no other shipping options that were quicker for me. It was just took a long time, a lot longer than I would like. I did offer to I gave it back to the person. I said, if you really need to, you can run it without the fan. It will just throttle. But in the end, they decided not to. Okay, the pins for this connector on the upside, so that means this goes that way. I also fixed a power supply today for my HP mini server. It's you may remember a few months ago, maybe 6 months, a year ago, I tried to fix the HP power supply for the little, it was that 4-disc server, mini server. We gave up and we just put the generic one. Anyway, the generic one, the fans all jammed up and there was a dead gecko hanging in it. And then there was a bunch of caps, dead caps in it, so I replaced those too. It's all good now, except I didn't replace the fan. I left it be. It's open air anyway, so it's not really going to cause a problem. Okay, so this is the part that really scares the dealies out of me. I shouldn't say scares, but I'm very apprehensive about it. Yeah, I can already feel there's one pin that's not lined up there. And I must apologise, I need to just blow my nose. At least stream for 3 hours so I don't have to listen to music at work. Oh. William, what music are they torturing you with? Catherine? They're so fine. And not the kind of fine that you sing about when you say, ooh, they're so fine. So, nope, not that kind. Now I can definitely tell there's a pin there just slightly off. And there is almost no... got it. Thank goodness for that. No, I did not. Ow. Or is that just protruded out? No, I think I just crushed that pin. I'll take the battery out and have a look before we do any more damage. Oh great, now you got little screws there. And these laptops aren't that old, and already the plastic casings for the battery are starting to fatigue. That is actually not too dissimilar to the Lenovo Yoga battery. So where is that battery? It'll probably be wildly different when I bring them side by side. Oh yeah, massively different. Yep. Oh yeah, Paul. Those detective eyes of yours. That dependable memory. Yeah, we're going to use the microscope to have a look at these pins. a B-dog. And naturally my HDMI cable may not stretch. Yep. Son of a... There's a pain in the ass. I mean, that's a pain, I mean, yeah. Okay. And the trouble is, now that that's fatigued, it's going to be forever weak. You can see how the pins are all just, they're kind of all over the place. It was so gentle with them. Like I said, if you do break one, it's not quite the end of the world, but it's certainly not ideal. Hey, B-Blood. Hey, Andrew. Yes, big fat PITA. I mean, the top of the connector coming up isn't really a big problem. We'll secure it back down a little bit with some tape. Flexi pins indeed. And if you have a look at the battery side of it, see how there's essentially no... Yeah, it's been hitting the lower pins, so it's been opened and closed a few times. There's a little bit of guidance with those beveled inlets, but it's not much. And even one of those pins in there looks like it's slightly off. Okay, that's better. Fundamentally, it's just a little bit too... They've kind of shaved it down too much. I suppose from their perspective it's like, well, you know, it's only ever going to be inserted once. So why would we care? Service technicians can suck it. Okay, that's in. And that's a nuisance. Hey, David Kazoil? David Kazoil? No. Oh, where does this go? Now that I've put the battery in. Oh no. Okay, this goes here. I can tell it goes here because there's a keying pin here and it lines up over there. And there's another keying piece of plastic. What do we got? A 2 by 3.5 metric. Now the question is, do I even have those screws? I think I do. Okay, this looks like the 2.5 by 3. Hey, Six Girls. And this looks like the other one. A little bit risky because the battery is connected but the machine is not running, so we're good. Okay, that is not that one. Maybe that's an extra. I wonder, is there a hole for the back here? Okay, that's part of the actual backplate screw down. That's interesting. Alright, time to put it back together. I also hate it when a design forces you to have to effectively activate or energize the circuitry before it's essentially fully assembled. I mean, yes, it could be argued we could put this battery in, then connect it, but the design that they have makes it somewhat impractical to try and insert that with the battery already installed fully. Yeah, those batteries, these connectors do indeed love getting ripped off. Like I said, I need to put some tape or something down there because it shouldn't go anywhere, but we can't trust that. That was that screw that I thought might have been for here. Okay, we are done. Oh yeah, we need the tape. So it's not just Apple that comes up with crummy designs. PC laptops usually get a bit of a head start though by the fact that they initially start with plastic. I mean, you've got to give credit to Apple at least for starting out with metal. Okay. Not sure if this is charged or not. It looks like it's running. It's running. And testing the processor fan. Okay, good. I did not do that, but it obviously realized that it had been running in the past with issues. My god, that's a sensitive. Super sensitive. Wow, just press enter. Yeah, it obviously realized that it had been running without a fan and now it's happy. Yep, looking good. I did see it spin. You should get one of these inside EVs. What am I looking at? Ah, DeLorean EV. Oh my god. Not quite sure. I do find the DeLorean interesting, though I'm not a great fan of it. Yes, Catherine, they are problematically thin. And of course, Apple really does set the standard though for things like the A1534. It's hard to beat that level of insanity. Can you give it, Jim? Yep, sure, can do. We'll just get these screws in so I can mark this job off and finally actually get paid for it. A couple of months and I haven't been able to get paid. Hey Villa. Okay, throw that in the bin. Finally get to rip this sticker off. And return the case to its home back on the pile among the gum trees. With lots of plum trees. Beautiful. Optical disk drive on the side? I don't think so, no. I don't think there was an optical disk drive. Okay, well, on the fan suction issue, aside from the fact that it sucked, no, just kidding. I'm just gonna bring this one up. Yeah, we are done. Jim's gonna want a cam shot here. I just need to move some stuff that I can I need to get some. Let me just do this. Crikey, good on you, Jim. I need to get some quick release tripod sets so that I can detach the camera from the tripod without actually, doing what I'm about to do, which is grab it and drag it around and probably snag on everything. But yeah, the fan assembly, it's all good. My God, no, you know what? I'm actually just really am going to take this off the tripod. It's too dangerous otherwise. At least I can detach the power. Okay. Crotch shot, I expect. Okay, have we got enough here? Alright, so that's it there. And you can see it's got a little bit of wobble, but that's to be expected because it is just a press fit. No, I can just lift this off. Okay. And you can see that, the fan's just there mounted on the wall. And this is the filter assembly with the pre-made flange. And that just easy enough to put back on. Gravity helps too, and then once the suction starts it really kicks in. So, and it is 99% all the air is going through the filter. There's almost no leakage down the bottom here, mostly because the suction pulls it down. And if I did have a problem with leakage down here, I could always put something like some sort of silicone strip or something like that, and it would then press hard against that. So it's a very simple setup and it works really well now. Feeling seasick. Now you feel sick for different reasons. Let's go back to the overhead and I can reattach this camera without hopefully destroying anything. That was the Sony AX33 unit. It's not the Panasonic one. Okay, so yeah, I definitely have to get myself a couple of quick release. I'm just going to put that power cable back in. This particular one has come with a extended life battery too, so I probably could do a few hours off the power. Ugh. I think that's good. Yep. Now I've got to readjust everything. Okay, can't go much wider than that. Yeah, it's looking good. Alright. Anyway, so yeah, that's the fan system, all done. There are probably simpler ways to do it, even still, but yeah, that's as simple as I could come up with in my limited space. In regards to putting a hole in the bench, if you have a bench where you have plenty of space behind the bench, then you won't need to put a hole in it. In which case, if you actually do have a lot of free room at the back, what I would actually sooner recommend is you put a 90 degree bend thingy-jig. Where is it? Here we go. Okay, this is a 45. 45 actually might work. Yeah, if you get an elbow join, like a 45 might even work, though I would probably sooner suggest a 90. The only trouble is trying to find a 90 in 200mm is near impossible. This here is a 6-inch 150, and that was already fun enough trying to find one of these. But yeah, if you can find something that's 90, or you can make a box that does the 90. So the same construction as what we've seen there, but then you sort of, I don't know, come up with your own ideas. The point is, it's fairly simple. It just sits on top and you're done. And when I was thinking about it, I didn't even really need to have that metal flange. I could have just cut the hole in the plywood and put the whole assembly, the entire assembly rather, over the circular outlet or inlet of the fan. The only trouble there is you would need to find a better way of sealing it, and the other problem is that you probably want some sort of blocking plate. I'll just show you what I mean. These are all the things you've got to think about. I'll put this very, very exotic looking MacBook to the side. Someone is very much loves their MacBook. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we just lift the filter off. So if you weren't going to go with using one of these, you could like maybe do 2 of these boards, and what you do is on the one that's closest to the fan, you make the diameter, or should rather say the top one, you have the diameter like 5 millimeters smaller, and the bottom one has the diameter that fits the fan. And so that way when you put it down, the top one acts as a interference fit, and that way you don't need to have this. But I was kind of happy to have this because it does give you that bit of extra sealing. But there are other solutions. It just happened to be that I had 2 of these around from the old muffler system, and just using what I had. I'm just going to knock the crap out of this filter. There's a lot of large particle crap in it, as opposed to fine particles which are actually meant to be trapping. I can make holes in the bench, but it'd have to be integrated, not round. Well, as I said, the hole in this bench here is merely just to keep the fan assembly away from the bench, so we don't have any vibration coming through, or at least not much. I also lowered it, so it is quite low now. It's only about 5 or 10 millimeters above the bench. Daniel, so common core is 290 milliamp. The most common cause of that is... oh man, I know what it is. I know this one. Oh yeah. Your MagSafe 2 charger is not genuine, or you are using a MagSafe 1 to MagSafe 2 adapter. That would be my guess. And if it's not those, then, well, it could be something else, funnily enough. But that would be my first thing. Check that you got a genuine MagSafe 2 adapter, and then most of us find out the hard way that if you take a MagSafe 1 and use one of those genuine Apple MagSafe 1 to MagSafe 2 adapters, it will not work on a 165. It gives you very strange behavior. Alright, so what is this? This is a 2002 MacBook Air M1 damaged by rainwater. Another rainwater one, wow. Crikey. Was not able to turn it off immediately, so it has been running. Alright, I think the harshest thing that we're going to have to deal with here is unscrewing this, because it's going to mess with the sticker. Well, it's a price you pay. It makes me wish I could do little circular cutouts or something. Because I genuinely would like to avoid damaging. So there's one there, one there. One there, there's the other one. So like a circular punch would be ideal. And this stuff is tough. Yeah. It's going to be a microscope chip. Tony, you can do that if you like to your holes, but I cannot be responsible for any undesirable results. Oh, that is seriously out of focus. It's a little better. I was kind of hoping my microscope would arrive today, but it didn't. There is a medical circlescope for removing moles. Ah, yeah, there is those, yes. Unfortunately, not on hand tonight. So we're just going to have to nip our way through this one. Fortunately, this blade is still fairly sharp, so I'm only having to apply pressure and it does cut it away. There's one. 5 or 6 to go, I think. Somewhere around there we go. There's our next one. I think the hardest thing is to pretty much avoid that sort of stuff where you rush a little bit. It's okay if you're on the inside of the arc, but as soon as it starts becoming an outside of the arc, that's when you're going to run into strife. I was going to say, I feel like I've lost the groove there. A3X, Rigo. Miles already did with this. When they sent it to me, they said, "Oh, I've got this rather fancy vinyl cover," and I'm like, "Well, I'll do what I can to not damage it. No guarantees." Most of the time with these made for Apple type vinyl backs, they normally have holes for the screws, but this one obviously decided, no, if Apple doesn't want you opening up the computers, we're just going to help Apple. This might proceed a little quicker if I actually put a brand new blade on, which would have that tiny tip section that I need. Because it doesn't look like it, but there's a teeny tiny tip that's been broken off that. And it looks like I've got solder paste on the side of the... mother frick. Oh no, it's not solder paste, it's a sticker. And if you're wondering why I just swore, it's because the tip of the knife found a new home in my body. I got lucky there. I slipped and it fortunately didn't do anything. Travis, no. Fortunately, I'm not going to put them back. Hey, Solaris. I have an LED light in the kitchen with hiccups. Do you mean like it sort of comes in and out, like it starts up, then flickers and dies, and starts up, flickers and dies? Some days it's good, some days it's not. As a general rule, I have found that household LED lighting, in the terms of ceiling lights and things like that, just the ones that the recessed ones, generally seem to be of really awful quality. I don't know, and the PWMing rate on so many LEDs on the market is atrocious. The fact that you can actually perceive it many times is a real problem. I don't know why I do know why. It all comes down to cost. But it'd be awfully nice if they made a high frequency PWM driver, like really high frequency, so that even when it's on partial brightness, you cannot perceive the flickering, because almost everything I can see the flickering on it when it goes into partial mode. Hey Peter, Alexa, I'm just trying to help the person out. Yeah, I said you can tell they've obviously, they like their MacBook, they've invested in a nice cover, but I'll see what I can do about helping them preserve it. Of course, the machine itself could be very dead. As you can tell, I am kind of getting the hang of doing it now. 100 hertz, that'll do it, yeah. I mean, we have the technology to do it. Ach, niemand, the last one, and I just got a slip in there. That's no good. Yeah, that's the big problem, Jim, is that most of the products on the market, they overdrive the LEDs. They have no margin whatsoever. And so the LEDs get hot, they fail prematurely. Yeah. They like to do it especially when when it's in partial brightness mode. And they go, we'll just pump up the brightness to compensate, or pump up the intensity of the current. Hey, Pro Engineer. I don't know if this is all the screws that I can't remember if there's two up there or not in the middle. I don't think there is on this model, but I will find out soon enough, I guess. Hey, Riston. Now comes the next part, and unfortunately this part is probably going to end up as an ugly, ugly result, because I've got to separate this back plate, but I have a feeling that the vinyl goes over the seam. Well, it does. So we don't know how it's... Yeah, this isn't going to be good. Okay, there is actually one there. I can feel it. And there. There it is. Sent link to email. Link to... What have I got here? Oh, for the punch, right, yeah. What might happen with this is once I actually get the back separated off, I will probably have to trim away whatever was hanging over, because I really do not think it's going to survive this process. I need a second helping hand. Because this has just gone and stuck itself back down. There we go. Well, bravo to the person who applied it. They did actually an exceptionally good job. Miles, that was us blocking our essential stuff that you're not allowed to see. Ah, crap. Really? 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 Of all the places, you got water there. Ah, this is probably very dead, and the audio board's done for. Ah, no, this isn't good. Not good at all. Of course, we did say that last night about the what was that other machine that we had? Oh, the 1706. No, we said that about the 1706, and that surprised us. But I don't know if we can be that lucky twice. Okay. I am glad that they've changed the clips. I'm still trying to work out the best way to actually get them off. Was that the laptop? I have no idea what bonged, but I think that was the laptop. Yeah, I'm almost certain that was the laptop that went bong. From the customer. Oh, yeah. Oh, geez. The USB-C is trashed as well. Wow. Okay, this really has... sounded like a Windows computer. The thing is, it came really close in here. But then again, I must admit, I am not a good reference for locating sounds because of my hearing. That was a Windows 10. What would be funny is if this is actually running. No, it can't be because it's an M1. Unless they're running it in VirtualBox or something, but that's just weird. Everything about those prospects is weird. Because I do not have a Windows machine in this room, except for that Dell that we just fixed in the background. Hey, ZX. Ah, Creature. Ah, Creature. Yeah, he's the man I need. With the Triac, I found the fault. I did a lot of debugging of my source code. I cleaned up a lot of things, but it wasn't that. The fault is fixed. I'll show you what it's fixed by, and I'm gonna hate you if you already seen. Okay. This fixes the fault. Now, I'll give you one shot to try and work out why. But that will fix the fault on the oven controller. And it will actually probably work for the one that you were having troubles with too. I was glad you turned up because I tried emailing you and it said no. This person has long since moved on from here. If Jim's here in chat, then that's a good thing to start with. But yes, it'd be nicer if he could suffer a little less. Travis, it's only insulated on the outside. Obviously, it's an alligator clamp. It's a Hersham brand alligator clamp. Let's see what Creature comes up with. Ground reference and capacitive bounce? No. I should have guessed you'd find some technical reasons. Like really technical reasons, but no. Okay, someone's been in here before, or at least tried to. That screw's chipped. Is that a J2 fix? Ha! You've been clamping together a poorly soldered current sense resistor? I've got to get on with this job, so I'm just going to tell you, creature, it's a heat sink. That's all it is. It's a heat sink. I clamp it onto the triac, and it stops the problems because it stops the triac from going into... Basically what's happening is they get so hot that the PN junctions misbehave and just start keeping themselves on. You don't need the gate current anymore to trigger it. But yeah, so if you put a bigger heatsink on, it should be fine. That's all it is. Steve K, I would never do such a thing. Ah, creature, that's cheating. You're not allowed to look at thermal cam. You're only allowed to use your chin, your tongue, or fingertip, and burn a hole in your fingertip. Anyway, so that's what the fault was, and that's how it's solved, and that's why the old one worked perfectly fine, because it had a heatsink on it. ZX, the real problem was just that I hadn't yet put a heatsink on it when I was testing it. By design, I do have heatsinks on them, but I was testing this one. And I think if I had been running on 4 bars on the, actually no, that wouldn't have done it. If I was running up to a smaller airspace, like that's a 45 litre oven. If I was in say a 20 litre oven, it probably would have got to the point where it would switch off before it got too hot, and it would have worked most of the time. And you can tell it would be that case because if you actually reset the board by just powering off everything, then by the time you bring it back, it will then go through the rest of the 20 minutes, no problem. Yeah, creature, on the tab of it, yeah. Just, there's a photo of it around. Okay, that's one well and truly upset cap. Amazingly, that missed the connector, so that's pretty good going. Fuse, trivial, nothing nice. It's not underfilled, so that's kind of good, kind of bad. ISL looks fine. I'm going to guess that this is actually more a problem with the daughter board if it is still functioning, because that is a big problem. I'm kind of surprised by that. Which board is this? Is this the 2016? Sorry, I know I'm moving it back and forth a bit quickly. Just not sure if this is the 2016 or it's the even newer one. I'm going to assume 2016. I'm just going to load it up and have a look. Steve K, I did not get his email address, but creature, if you could send me an email so I've got your latest address, if you want to. Because I think the one I got was from 2007 or something like that, which, as you can imagine, is quite some time ago. Hey, Ruggers. Yeah, okay, this is it here. Unfortunately, I'm not running my Fluxbox at the moment. It seems to be having problem because I suspect this is running Wayland, and Fluxbox has not been updated to handle Wayland. Are the components likely to be available on older boards? There are some that are available, there are some that are not. Okay, so what are you actually doing? You are 3v8, always on VDD man. Okay, we thankfully can probably get away with this. I was worried it might be one of the CPU ones, but it's not in this case. That is what I do like about the new designs. They have made it so that most of the critical stuff is hidden away from liquid exposure. Not so much on this board, but if you look at the 2020 board, okay, so you have the 2020 board, and this should be 3v8 always. Okay. Anyway, they shield all this stuff, which is very nice. So it greatly reduces the risk of doing critical strike damage on the CPU and things like that. Fluxbox, it's a wonderful window manager. It's not a desktop manager, it's a window manager. And I much prefer it. Okay, the other fault we had was there was a little cap down here. I think this. So what's that? 3v3. This is a repair job. So it's a 2.225. Okay. No worries. So we'll clean up the mess. I'll probably replace that capacitor. I don't have a lot of confidence in that. And you can see it's starting to look like it's going to misbehave badly. Fluxbox could have been my ultrasonic cleaner. Haha, that's a good name, yeah. Time for Paul to move to Arch. No thanks. I'm sticking with Ubuntu. I'll stick with Ubuntu and I'll just modify it as I need. I'm tired. I did years of being the different distribution person, not following the crowd and things like that. I'm done with it. Because at least with Ubuntu, I know that if I have a new product, hardware or something like that, and if they're going to have driver or software support, then Ubuntu is going to be the one that they're going to have. Let's see if I can get this off. Yeah, I might actually just do a continuity test on that too. Aerobatic plane pictures. Well, that actually is just... Yeah, that was well and truly a goner. I barely touched that, and it rolled over. Most of my aircraft stuff is discus launch gliders now. And helicopters. Look at how badly degenerated that is. It probably was a short at some point, and now it's just dead. And yeah, you can see there's a fleck of shattered there. I'll Yeah, even though we all missed out on the Lenovo fix, I think I kept the capacitor. That was the killer. Where are you? You know how I like to keep the damaged parts. Kind of like my wife likes to marry damaged people, which is why she married me. Okay. So check out this. This is from the Lenovo. I mean, that is very messed up. Ah. Interesting, the microscope camera is not updating. Be right back. Okay. Yeah, so there you go. One very, very messed up cap. And that came from the Lenovo. It was not a happy chappy. The person actually reported that they heard it go pop. So my hopes were high that it was going to be something like that. That's a 805 cap. It was on the 20 volt input line. So I'm gonna guess that what happened was maybe they have been using a not a good USB-C power brick, and it shot through something like 30 volts or whatever momentarily. But yeah, that really wrecked that capacitor. That's wrecked with a K. And this one, it's more corrosion wrecked, and I just realized my microscope is actually riding a little high here. I'm just gonna see if is there something I've done there? No. So I'm just gonna try and drop it ever so slightly. If you hear a great big crash, then press F. Okay, that should do it. Okay. No, that's definitely better there. But this one here, it looks like, yeah, it was probably shorted for a while, but then it's corroded away. And that's just the remains of it there. And you can see we're peeling off the end cap. There we go. So that actually does belong on the capacitor, that does. But this I will keep as well. Like a horrible rotten tooth. So if I had to guess, I would say that probably caused the machine to shut down. And just through shipping, it has now sort of broken clean of the circuit. Sorry, just putting it into the little box. It's a bit tricky because it's got flux all over it. Bit of super glue, yeah, mate. Never use non-OEM USB chargers. Quite agree with you there. And the MagSafe non-genuines, we were getting away with that, but the USB-C ones seem to be quite destructive when things go wrong. Kind of like a stamp collection. It's a good idea. Yeah, we should do that. Alright, so we're going to clean this up. I don't know what... Okay, there we are. We've got the end caps off. Well, that was Lenovo Yoga one. That was a 805 ceramic MLC. 10 microfarad, 25 volt. Fortunately, I had a bunch of MacBooks that I could steal a replacement from. ZX, I think their primary weakness is physical shock as well. But certainly, yeah, I mean, obviously if you go over the voltage rating, they're going to die quite quickly. Hello, moth. Be gone, moth. Okay, so that's a 2.2 25 402. 2.2 25 402 402 caps. I need to grow this collection a lot more. Okay, 10 2.2 402 25 volts. Amazing. I actually have that item. I'm as shocked as you are. Probably more shocked. Because you were kind of thinking, oh yeah, he's going to have those. But I legitimately wasn't sure. At night time, my eyes definitely change. Crap. I'm trying to do Jason Vilma level of flux. And in the end, I just botch it up. And I botched it up even more because I realised I actually need to solder one end first. And I may have to use the extra large soldering iron. Well, for a 402, that is actually... there is not a lot of clearance on that pad on the other side. That's Apple really pushing the limits there. May actually have a hard time getting this one. Yeah, Steve, you're right about that, getting into that bad habit. So we're going to end up just putting more solder on the part and not the pad. I was kind of hoping having to avoid hot air on this one, but looks like hot air it is. I don't know why I was trying to avoid it. Couple of seconds and it's already done. I just realised there's some parts hanging out under here too, and that will be... how did the tweezers get so messed up there? Yeah, that's a current sense there. I don't know what this is. Okay, looks like a cap. Feels like it's still secure. These guys have started to lose their metal. That's kind of scary. Trying to decide. Okay, we'll wash it down with 80/20 to start with. The big problem is the reason I don't want to get too much flux everywhere and whatnot. I don't want to have to take off all of this plastic housing around it. That looks like we're kind of doomed. It's definitely going to need a fluxing if nothing else. No. I think they're going to have to be replaced. I can just see in a couple of months that those caps will misbehave. These ones up here, everything there seems, it's not great, but they're okay. But those little caps there, I can see they're going to cause grief, as well as that one in there, which is going to be a pain to get out. Thankfully not as bad as an iPhone. Oh, come on. I hate it when you hit the button on the Atom and it's actually, it is warming up, but then you make it shut down. You're like, damn it. Miles, are you talking about Nintendo Switches? It's funny enough, we just don't get them here. Well, I don't. I've had maybe 2 that I've fixed. It's just doesn't seem to be a commonly present item. Thank you, Tenme. Yeah, I mean, boring, I agree, fine, but the thing is, it's a bit like 1466s. You need a bread and butter line. Yeah, you don't want to be relying on interesting jobs, oh sorry, if you rely on waiting for the interesting jobs to make your money, you're probably going to go broke. Okay, so those are joined. I'm not sure what I need to do in order to attract Nintendo jobs. I guess maybe advertise. Ah, come on. Stop sucking up all the heat. Get some thermal assist with the 250. Okay, now I've got to find out what those caps were. (162), 163. Oh wow, they're okay. They're basically just high frequency caps. You could leave them off, but I will do the honourable thing and actually put them back. And they're 201s, of course. Of course they're 201s. I very much doubt I have 12 or 3 picofarad caps. Oh, they've actually got a 4.7, and naturally they don't have a 4.7 required there. Of course not. 100 nanofarad, 100 nanofarad, 1 microfarad, 100 nanofarad, 4.7 picofarad, 100 nanofarad, 220 nanofarad, 10 nanofarad. Yep, yep. Not the sort of values I typically carry around with me. So we will have to now see where we can find it. So we've got 12 picofarad, 25, 201. Search, find a part. This is probably going to switch me back to overhead. Let's go back to schematic. (12 PF), 25 volt. Looks like everything's got it. Let's find something that I have no shortage of, which I've got 45s. Naturally iPhones have them. Nice. Black screen. How handy. Hey, 555. Force quit. Not sure why that one didn't come up. Alright, we'll try the 45. Okay, what are you? You're 45. Oh, the little mongrels under the CPU means I've actually got to take this CPU shield off. Okay. And there it is. By the way, if any of you have been hearing about the Tim Herman carbon black paste, this is the stuff that it's designed to replace. It's not like normal thermal paste. Like, I know if you get a 12-year-old machine and you open it up, the paste looks and behaves like this, but this isn't that old, and this has got, it's a very different structure to normal thermal transfer paste. So that's why Tim Herman, TCRS, has created the new carbon black thermal paste to deal with these situations. Likewise with iPhones as well, because they deliberately gap the heatsink from the CPU by, I don't know what it is, about 0.2 of a mil or something like that. And if you use normal thermal paste, it just basically pumps out over time, and it doesn't really provide a solid transfer medium. Yeah, so that's why it's invented. It's not because of any other reason, it's just, it actually has a purpose. Thank you, Christian. I'm probably going to kill a few things with this. Probably could have picked a better board. Anyway, yeah, I thought I'd bring that up because I know there was quite a few people who were thinking it was pointless. So why bother having a new paste? You know, there's already existing pastes and stuff on the market. It's like, yeah, but they don't really cover this situation. To look yucky. To have physical form beyond just being a liquid. I realise that side is not yet done. We won't do that until we've got both of them. Okay, so now I need the 12 picofarad one. Oh no, that was the 12. We need the 3. Miles, I'm not really sure why they did what they did, but all I know is that they've done it, and subsequently it is definitely a pain. So 3.0 picofarad, 25 volts. Wrong search. I got a 239 board, so I may as well use it. Except it's a no stuff. Okay, we've got one CPU side up by the RAM. Let me guess, you're in the RAM. I think I might try and find another one. That one is buried just behind the shield. So is that one? Aha. Seems like there's about a dozen of these 3 picofarad ones on the board, so it was just a case of finding one that was easy to get to. Flux is dried up. Miles, at least if your laptop dies, that's going to be an interesting job for you to do. Now, quickly, while there's still heat there, should be able to drop in some solder. Maybe not that much. Although it's not surprising it's doing that, because you remember when we scratched away the mask, so it's simply running with that. So that is why it would be very difficult to try and eliminate that, what looks like a bridge, but it isn't meant to be a bridge. The 2 pads are in fact connected, so that's them there, they're both connected. Solaris, are you going to make them using KiCad or something like that and then export to GenCAD? Oh, crap me, we've got another 12 picofarad. Son of a gun. I'm going to see if there should be one on the 1239. Sorry, 239. Yep. In amongst that cluster. Let's find something a little easier to get a hold of, maybe. Oops. Topic of Farad. Okay, where are you? Oh, I don't know which one it is. It's this one here. Don't lose it. Actually, I've made a slight mistake here in the fact that I haven't actually cleared away the old one yet. That one there. So I need to put this in a safe place. I usually find these connectors are good places to put them. Usually. I'm just going to try the fat blob method and maybe some assistive heat. When I run assistive heat, that's only 250 centigrade. So it's not a very intense. I'm really struggling for focus tonight. I can see why, because one eye was focused and the other was not. Oh yeah, sorry, I missed on seeing what Solaris was gonna do. No idea. Okay. Well, I would be really excited to see people doing that. And if you do them in, like if you export them into GenCAD format, then both OpenBoard View and FlexBoard View will be able to utilize them. And the nice thing about GenCAD is other people can then, well, either that or share the actual design files. I don't know. But the point is, you can put them into board views by converting to GenCAD. I mean, GenCAD itself is an editable design format, but obviously for most cases you prefer to stick with whatever is default for the program you're using. Okay, this is going to be fun. I might have to try a different angle here. Okay, excellent. I'm not going to bother trying and fix that up in terms of get it perfectly aligned. I'm happy that it went down without too much of a fight. Hey Francis. Yeah, I've been busy as well with, I was trying to do T-bow view, and there's the damn number there, by the way, 820-2016. And I've been handed a pretty much finished sort of spec, but I've still got to implement it. And I just don't have the time at the moment. I'm working on it, but I just don't have the time. That is true, Greg, we do. Next thing you know, you wake up and you realise 20 years of your life have just slipped past and you've got no flippin' idea what you did with it. And then you go and decide you have a midlife crisis, and yeah. Or something like that. Yeah, like I said, I've got what I need now. I just accept for the time to do it. Now normally I do always... Oh, right, I forgot this up here. Okay, this is more of a wash situation. I don't think it actually did go under that 32. Yeah, that's clean under the 3217. I'm going to give that some 80-20 wash and then dry. What's it between Bird and... Tony, BRD is the Landrex test link format, or whatever it was, or one of... There's also the Allegro binary BRD format, which I'm still trying to decode. And BVR is just something that I created that was very verbose with its specification, with its content. It's very repetitive. It's not... I don't try and be smart with conserving space. Instead, I just sort of just pump the data and over in multiple places, rather than having all sort of like back and forward references and indexes and things like that. So yeah, BVR is my own format. Because the world loves yet another standard. So the problem with the MacBook BRD format, the Landrex test link type stuff, is that there's no provision for part outlines or nice things like that. Whereas things like GenCAD, BRD, BVR3, and so on, most reasonable formats, they do have provision for pad outlines, part outlines, multi-layer, things like that. In a way, they are design file formats. I'm sort of bridging between design file and board view file with BVR3. I'm too lazy to go all the way to design file. There's too many attributes for a design file that I'm not going to cover. And I don't want to, because it's not the purpose. Should have called it the PLD format. That's pretty smart. I think it already exists though, at least in terms as a suffix. Still, we're sort of stuck on the whole 3-character suffix syndrome. Modern half-decent operating systems all can have any sort of suffix you want, or no suffix at all. But that's the power of the legacy implementations. There must be at least 4 or 5 different formats out there that use the BRD extension. I mean, there's EagleCAD as well. EagleCAD uses BRD for their board layout. Alright, I need the little ultra tiny cleaning tips. BIOS used MIME types to extend attributes. Unfortunately, BIOS didn't really get there, and then the current implementation of BIOS, it sort of still falls short of what was brilliant about the original one. Another case of a operating system that was definitely exceptionally advanced, but I mean, we did sort of take some things from it. And I know it still exists in some form, but yeah, it's more of a more of an entertainment thing now. Yeah, no need for file extensions. I suppose the advantage of file extensions, at least under Unix type systems, is that you can very quickly see from the name what you're dealing with. But of course, you can then counter argue that and say, well, utilities such as ls just simply would implement dumping out what it is as part of the reading process. But then that breaks so many other things. Breaking and changing legacy standards is a very painful process. Like right now, even though with 32-bit Unix clocks we don't roll over until 2038, we're already going through the process of migrating packages away from that old 32-bit format to the new 64-bit format, and it's breaking things. Like the driver, OBS came out today with a new version, 27.2 I think it was, and they directly support the Kona AJ Kona card that I have for capturing, rather than me having to use the Video for Linux 2 layer wrapper. But unfortunately, the driver, the actual driver for the card in Linux, it is using the 32-bit time format, and I need to build it on Linux 5.16, and it won't, because they've deprecated the old 32-bit system. So I'm gonna have to wait another bit of time before that's done. I sent them an email. Hopefully they'll respond nicely rather than saying you're an idiot and you don't know what you're doing, which occasionally I do get. Hey Firephone, I'm doing good. Let's hopefully get this M1 back to life. And the reason why we're doing hand cleaning here is because I genuinely don't want to have to put it through an ultrasonic cleaner. Okay. I don't know what I did with the screws for this. It doesn't matter. It's a dead board. It's a donor board. But I would like to know what I did with the screws. Crap. Alright, so that's the main board probably done. I say probably because we can't test it yet. What about the other side? What do you mean the other side? We did look at both sides. Hey, on stage. Okay, I am seeing this to be a fairly common problem where the daughter board is getting damaged, and these daughter boards are not cheap. So it's a bit like the situation with DC in boards now. You have to repair them. What I'm trying to find with the driver dependency thing is I'm actually trying to, pardon me, see if I can find a guide as to how to migrate it to the new time format, because they didn't just, I'll just turn that off for now. They didn't just rename it to something like, yeah, maybe it was do get time of day was the old one, but they don't seem to have gone for the whole idea of change it to get time of day underscore 64 or something like that. I think they did with one or two of the functions, but now I'm running into other ones that are not, don't seem to have a match for that. I don't know. The sort of thing where you got to familiarize yourself with the driver quite a bit more and then finally understand what's going on and then go digging as to how to fix it. It's quite an extensive process, and realistically it is something that the company Aya or Aja, whatever, AJA, they should be working on it, and I'm sure they are. It's just, it's not happening today. Just did a fast Fourier transformation to avoid dependency on a huge library. You need to sign. Oh, I hate when that. Yeah, many a times you replicate a lot of code just simply to avoid a spanking expensive license. Okay, so we've got a bunch of protection diodes and some generics there, so that can be cleaned up fairly fine. This cap there, that's probably going to be a problem. Overall, it doesn't look too bad. I was worried it was going to hit the speaker amp chip, and it didn't. And of course this side is... oh, wait, what's going on there? Hopefully that is just... okay, it just looks like that's just film deposit. It's not actually coming within. Although we've got some corrosion there. This here is actually a good example of why there's no real point in trying to conformal coat laptop mainboards like this. Because as you can see, this does have a very nice conformal coat all over it, and yet still it found a way in. And if I want to replace that cap, now I have to actually cut away the conformal coat, dig in there and try and... yeah, it just makes it a mess. It's a harder job when things go wrong, and most of the time you can't stop it anyway. And that filter, there's a filter there that's also got issues, but it might be okay. There's a person out there at the moment who's producing or has produced a header library. I love these header libraries that handles things like image importing and exporting for common formats like JPEG, PNG and whatnot. Honestly, that's the sort of stuff I pay good money to people for having done it. The amount of time that sort of stuff saves and programming effort, it's just beautiful. It really is beautiful. It's hard for me to explain how beautiful it is. I'm trying to think of the library name now. STB image, that's it, yeah, STB image. That's the library. People who create that sort of thing, they need to get a lot more support for what they do, because essentially they are solving a very common problem. It's just everywhere. You know, the number of times you want to just, what you want to do is load an image into memory, something like that, just deal with that. But instead you find, under normal circumstances, you've got to jump through a million hoops, or you got these obscure libraries that have other obscure dependencies, and your make file goes to hell, your source code goes to hell. But then you get these people who produce, like I said, this STB image in this case, and it's honestly, when you find that sort of thing, it's like angels sing, because you know it's just saved your butt and made your life so much easier. I don't know if anyone else knows what STB library is. STB image in this case. Okay, so we're gonna have to replace this cap. Yep, yeah, that's why we're gonna replace that cap. That just, and I do believe that has cracks or something in it too. Yeah, you can see that bottom one there. You can see the fracture line has developed. So yeah, that's definitely in need for replacement. Looks like a 402, and the one next to it's a 603. Hey, one repair guy. Oh, just noticed Nelson's here. Hello, Nelson. Cap goes in the collection. No, I soldered up the visual marking. It's never going to be able to be used in a robot visual interface again. Miles, I do believe we actually do have these ones. The guy that I sponsored to do the, well, to be fair, he was already doing the 2020 and the 2016. I just sort of dropped some money to him to help him get along. Anyway, the guy that did those, he also did these, and I've just got to find them, that's all. I was a little bit disappointed, I gotta say though, that he did start a Kickstarter to do some more boards, and he basically got no money at all from the Kickstarter. It didn't make the limit or anything, and that pretty much sums up what it's like in this industry. No one's going to give you fat wads of cash, even if it is something they have to have. You effectively have to thumbscrew people by locking them out of all the other options in order to get money out of them. I wish it wasn't true, but it is what it is. It's why I don't, I get regular emails from people saying, I want your software, but it's too expensive for me. Can you give it to me at a discount or give it to me free? And it's like, no. So because I work my ass off making this stuff, and I've done lots of open source stuff for many people for many years. And you people will just take and take and take. Yeah. If you can get something for free, you will do that. Yeah. I do not expect 1 ounce of generosity or altruism from these people, because they are just like me. They're running a business. They want to make money. They don't want to spend money if they can avoid spending money. That's it, Tanmay, yeah. Everybody in every industry. It's just, you got to make money, so the first thing you do is stop spending money if you can. Try a few tricks. Try ask nicely. Say please. See what's free. Use the free. But I think what throws the insult to me is the fact that I worked hard on Open Board View for a good number of years, and it's a acceptably good product. But people are like, oh, but I want Flex Board View because it's got the extra features, and it's like, well, then you can pay for them, because Open Board View is more than enough to actually, for you to get the job done. And if you do enough jobs, you will have the profit then. And if you don't have the profit, then that's your problem, because you obviously don't run a business properly. Okay, 1929. I do have this board view somewhere. I've got to find it though. Ah, no, come on. I don't know what's going on with the controller for the compass, but I'm still having griefs with it. Alrighty. I'm just gonna have to jump around and see if I can find this board view that I need. Damn it, what was that number? I don't use other people's software as a general rule because it opens up possibilities that I don't want to deal with legally. But I know of it. I'm on the wrong machine. Thank you, repair guy. Okay, that's kind of weird. But the 1949, it might be similar to that. There's two different variations of this board, and they only differ by a tiny, tiny part. Hey, Scoop Dog. Nah. Alright. Forgot the recursive. Well, that's definitely not it. No, definitely not it. Alright. I'm going to have to check my email because I know it was sent to me in email. I'm just kind of surprised that I don't have it. Wow. Maybe Bad Caps has them already. You gotta be kidding me. No matches. I'm a little confused because I'm very sure they were very sure that I had in fact been playing around with them. Because I remember commenting back and saying, okay, it's 01929, okay, not 001929. Odd. Alright, stand by. I am going to go and find them on my other machine in my email. I can't access the email directly from here. back. I gotta wait for my hands to dry. Now it may be a case of this is actually being mislabeled, where the actual board file is accidentally named as, although it doesn't look like one. $1992. Yeah, that's not the same. It's close, but it's not the same. Hands are still sticky. The 1949, I'll have a look at that one too. I mean, they all have probably the same technical functions in them. Hey, that's a bug. Yeah, it's not responding to the menus anymore. In fact, it's not it's responding to left click, but not on the menu. How annoying. Someone should let that person know. Oh, what's going on there? Oh, it looks like we did... No, it's definitely not the 1949. Yeah, anyway, that was a software bug. I'll have to look at what's causing that. In the meantime, we can probably speculate as to what that cap might be. Given its size for a 2, I would say, let's call it maybe 1 microfarad, and the trouble is we can't measure the voltage without actually putting it in circuit. Let's see what I've got in the 402 sizes and pick something with the highest voltage for a decent capacitance. I mean, theoretically it shouldn't be too high, but you never know. Sometimes they can put full PV bus across. Well, we can do another 2.225. I think that should cover everything. Yeah, it's not a completely useless capacitance, but it's also a nice high voltage too. Yeah, I feel a little bit skewed here. You know, sometimes you feel like you're just sitting at an odd angle and you're not really even sure why. We're just going to use 360 for this because we do have these connectors nearby. Okay. Nicely done. I'm gonna guess that is not attached to the board. Yeah, that's not attached to the board. This is a little bit tricky because we're probably going to find it hard to find out what resistance that is for that resistor there. And we don't have another one to refer against. Although we can probably look at... I just realized we don't have schematics for that either. That's the problem, so we don't know what values are going to be. Crap. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that moves as I touch it. Yeah, it's moving. Well, we'll try our luck. No. Shite, almost had it. Oh god, I put too much pressure on these things. Okay, it's reading 2 kilo ohms almost perfectly, so I think we can safely say that that is what it is. Now I know it is in circuit, so theoretically other components will manipulate that value, but this here just looks like a protection diode, so it's not going to reduce the resistance anything considerably. That's obviously just a decoupling cap or, you know, debouncing type behavior. And it's going to one of these pins up here, which means it's probably a insertion sense or similar like that. That's one of these pins inside the 3.5 mil socket will just make contact or not. So yeah, that's 2K makes sense. Blame gnome. Oh yeah, probably is. I don't know. I'm sure it's appeared somewhere. Although Lewis hasn't complained about anything like that, so maybe it's not real. Try not to melt the connector. We'll just get some flux bobbling action going on too. That'll help with the junk underneath those diodes. I probably melted it. Almost. Lewis has bigger fish to complain about. That is true. The man has got a lot on his plate. I'm sure most days he probably would like to just go back to the good old days of enjoying a repair rather than all this political stuff, and then on top of the political stuff, all the psychotic people now infiltrating even more into his life. I mean, he always attracted weirdos like myself, but things have gotten a little out of hand. Okay, 2K, and I'm trying to think, is that 402 or is that 201? I'm thinking 201. just doesn't seem big enough to be 4K. I should have measured it. 2K, huh? $1K. 2K2. You could probably get away with 2K2, but we'll keep looking. I do have better storage options coming. 2K7, 2700, 6, 22, 20K, 10. $1K, you gotta be kidding me. There's no 2K. That's funny. A smart person would actually write on the outside of the container all the values that are contained within. No, it's definitely a 2K. It's definitely a 2K. When I measure it, it's 1.9999, or it'll flick up to 2.0000. So it's very much 2K. And I do trust this multimeter for those sort of measurements. That's fine. We'll just locate a 2K somewhere else. What? It's done it again? Repair guy, you wouldn't have seen the previous videos perhaps. I used to have one of those books, but I threw it out. Because unless you get the ones that have got, that you know are from a reputable company, then they are unpredictable and can often create problems that you don't notice until later, or they fail in unpredictable ways. That's what I was... Oh, not the 3332! I wanted the 165, you dirty, dirty... Bonaparte. That's the one I want. Ricardo, I've always been using Ubuntu since 2006, after I left Slackware. Son of a gun. How? Wait, what? Oh, I see how this happened. That's 2.2. Okay, this is why I designed the software to provide a slightly more restrictive option, which is strict match search. Yeah, I've been using Ubuntu a very long time, and the only reason why you're seeing it at the moment is because I think that my preferred window manager, which is Fluxbox, is clashing with Wayland. So I probably will get rid of Wayland and restore Fluxbox. But the trouble is, Fluxbox hasn't been updated in something like 10 years or 5 years at least. It's kind of putting me in a bad position here. You did not just do that. That's got to be a bug for sure. Okay, left align. Wayland is a good example of what I find, should rather say, what I find frustrating with a lot of open source developers. Is that they have this obsession of reworking projects that, for the most part, are perfectly fine. Now, I've got a problem with my search facility. Okay, I'm just going to see if we can... Yeah, that strict match is not being strict. Yeah, that is oh, lucky. I was about to give up. But it's a no stuff. Oh, sweet mercy. God damn it. The one we wanted is a no stuff. Whereabouts is that anyway? I'm gonna check anyway, just in case, but I believe it would be a no stuff. It's so tragic though. B-Blood, no stuff basically just means they don't install it. And sadly, in this case, they have not installed it. So that's where it was, but that's a no stuff. And you can tell if it's a factory no stuff, as in it's meant to be non-existent there, because there's a small amount of solder on there and it's nice and neatly domed, as opposed to when a part gets ripped off, it tends to look rather different. That's interesting. It's even present on a board like the 1534 boards, and it's also no stuff there. And it looks like it's on the same line too. That's really curious. And I'm just going through and picking out various boards, seeing if I can get lucky. Unfortunately, at this scale, if you're going to put down a 201, you can't really push it up to a 402, whereas you can do things like put a 603 on a 402 and vice versa. You can usually get away with that. But yeah, when you get down to 402 versus 201, yeah, they are literally twice the size or half the size. I think the problem that I'm encountering here is that the search string 2K is just considered too small. Oh, Ricardo, you're welcome. Yeah, probably best not to get me on the topic of subscriber count. The biggest problem is that I don't really have, I could say, concentrated content. You know, if there are any good little pieces, they're few and far between, and I don't bother to consolidate into edited videos very often. So I am a victim of my own laziness, as it were. No, the scope view's alive. I'm just not talking much. I think it's probably a bit of old code that I've got in the PDF engine, and I've probably made it so that if there's a search string less than 3 characters, it reverts back to a full search, which is silly of me, because if you have an explicit request for perfect match, then it should be on it. But I didn't bring the perfect match option, the strict match option, until recently, so that's probably why. Let's see, I'm just having a look at 840. You could probably make a 2K by taking a 2K2 and putting a 20K in parallel, I think. 2020, yeah, unfortunately that's not going to help me. Look, I'm going to put a 2K2 on it. I don't think it's going to be sufficiently critical. And if it is, well, I'll order some flippin' 2K resistors. I mean, yeah, 2K2 is the more common value, so I do find it a little bit interesting that they picked 2K explicitly, and when they do that sort of thing, where they pick a value that's not on your sort of standard, when I say standard, I mean, obviously they're all part of various standards, but, you know, when they're not your normal 2K2, 2K7, that sort of thing, then it does give me pause for thought, because I'm thinking, okay, they picked that for a reason, and if I go and substitute with something like 2K2, will that 10% extra actually train wreck things? Oops. Well, it is actually, you know, like I said, that's what I was saying, my standard series. I mean, it is part of another standard series. It's just not part of your shortlist standard series. So it's a case of what standard are you talking about? Because there's different sets of resistor range standards or resistor, what do you call it? I want to say sequence, but it's not. But anyway, well, it is a sequence. But anyway, I guess what I'm saying is that these are a standard, but it's not just the one that many people first anticipate. Yeah, when you talk about resistor values and focus pull. Okay. Okay, that cap's fine. That cap's fine. No, we've still got to deal with those caps on the back. That's not going to be fun. Yeah, see these little SOBs? I have no idea what they're going to be. I suppose what we can do is see if we can find a structure that's similar to that. So you got the 2-4 pad, so they're probably like, I don't know, maybe inductor pairs. It doesn't really look like it though, because one's cascaded into the other. You see that pin there? It feeds into this one here. I'm not quite sure what they are. Anyway, I'll see if we can find a structure like that on that other audio board. Though come to think of it, it doesn't help us one bit. Yeah, it doesn't help us because we don't know what these values are anyway. Oh well, they'll just have to be, and worst case scenario, they'll just have to get another one. Hey KDO. I guess for me the more important thing in this particular instance is the fact that we eliminated caps that could have gone and shorted out. And that resistor was certainly no good. TK is also on the 875. Oh. What resistor on the 875? Fortunately, we don't. Oh, actually, we do have a teeny tiny bit of corrosion there. R6611 on the 875. Oh, what the hell? Oh no, that's right. Sorry, just ignore me. $66.11. Oh, quite right you were. And funnily enough, haha, yeah, so I was right. Okay, if you look at this, audio tip cents 2K. Alright. Thank you for finding that, David. And someone just now got a boost. So that makes sense because yeah, we were looking at the audio tip sense, and what do you know? Audio tip sense on that board is 2K. Paul Daniels occasionally knows what he is doing. Downside is it means we've got to redo that job. That'll be the one between those two caps, I think. Yep. That one right there. Well, in theory you're right, it shouldn't make any difference, but then with the audio sense circuits, sometimes they can get fickle because they will rely on the different resistances providing a different divider voltage when they go back to wherever they're going. So it's like a ladder effect, and you got different things providing different... Oh man, there's a bug flying around my face. And like I said, if it didn't matter, then they would have picked 2K2 or 1K9 or something like that, but instead they did pick 2K for a reason. You watch, I'm not going to be able to get it out of there. Fortunately being leaded, I should better get that off a bit quicker. Yep. Sorry 2K2, you didn't get to live out your dream as being a useful part. How suckful is that? All this time it's been waiting for its moment to shine after being made in the factory, and I gave it hope. I put it on the board and then I didn't use it, and I was right. I'm not going to get this out too easy. There we go. Raised its hopes up. They probably was celebrating in its family. So our 2K2 boy has grown up and he's going to go off and he's going to do great things on the audio tip circuit. And then it was failure to launch. Okay, looks good. depressing story time at that too. No, unfortunately I can say I did not encounter that situation as a youth or as an adult. Oh wait, no, yes, come to think of it, yeah, I can think of one or two little events, but nothing to those sort of, nothing severe. Usually sports related. You get your moment to shine, you're like, yay! And then you turn up, ready on the day, only to find that, oh, sorry, yeah, no, look, we got the person we really want back, so thanks for turning up. Sorry you drove 3 hours, but we don't need you anymore. Bugger off. That sort of story. Nothing too tragic, no. Just standard tragedy. Sort of standard tragedy that turns you into a good person eventually. Maybe. Maybe not. The reason why this daughter world is so important is because this is where your on-off button comes in too. It's not just an audio board. Drama queen. Oh, you hurt. Hurtful words. I need my safe space. Actually, I shouldn't mock that. I know it's popular to mock that sort of thing, but it is nice to have a safe space at times. We're not all endlessly capable of endlessly taking hits. But we try our best. We try to be as enduring and non-whiny as possible. Because realistically, whining doesn't tend to fix much. I mean, even when the world supposedly comes to rescue you, it really isn't. You're just gonna end up becoming fodder of someone else's plans. Either that or you get ostracized, even if they're saying you can't get, you should be forthcoming and share and things like that. No, it's a trap, okay? I know I shouldn't say things like that, but I guess it's a case of do not be surprised if in hindsight you realize that those that were supposedly there for you are actually just using you or utilizing your situation to profit one way or another, be it financially or emotionally. Sometimes you get genuine people, but it's, for the most part, unlikely. Okay. I guess for me, that comes from when things got bad for me. I thought, all right, fine, I'll reach out to places that are supposed to be able to assist when things get a bit difficult. I guess I was dumb though. I mean, why would a bank ever do that? But in the end, it actually just made things a lot worse, and the so-called help that you get is not really. What does roux taste like? It's not too bad, but it's a bit dry. Yeah, you basically have to slather it up in fat and oil to make it actually tasty. Alright, let's see how we go. Oh, Rodrigo, I didn't think you were mocking me. Honestly, I didn't. Okay. 5 volts, 20 volts, 300, 900, 1.4, 100. Oh. 55, 200, 220, 35. It's kind of all over the place, and that doesn't bode well. Maybe I was expecting a bit much plugging everything in. Oh no, we're back up to 900, 1 amp, 1.8, 1.9, so we're charging. Two amps, definitely charging. But charging is not running. Hey, full wave. 1:16 in the morning. Alright. Okay, so that's not booting, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to... The battery seems to work okay though. I'm going to disconnect everything. Like the keyboard, trackpad. Oh, ooh. Crikey, that felt like tennis elbow. Display will maintain... Okay, basically for the most part, what matters is disconnected, and see if it comes up now. I don't know how long these usually take before they sort of sort out their initial internal boot. Man, I've really got to get a brighter version of these things. What I would like are the ones, all these features, I would like all of the features that are on this particular one, but on a separate, I suppose I could use an extension lead, and a screen that's twice as big. Okay, we are not booting. We've got the 20 volts, but we're not really showing any signs of wanting to come up. Might have to wait till the next day. Oh, we just went to 0 and now back to, well, back to 0. And we are now stuck at 0. Okay, I'll plug the battery in. Sometimes, I don't know if it is the case with this particular model, but sometimes they do want the battery to boot. If we're going to have remote display of these things, I would prefer it to be Wi-Fi as opposed to Bluetooth, and I would love it if maybe they just simply have a very simple web interface on them. Or something where you can just do a query. Like, you know, do get whatever. Get the FMB48. I think I have seen that one actually, yes. Steve K, we don't do silly daylight saving here. We are a proper, sensible country town. Daylight saving would just be ludicrous up here, really it would be. Well, it's certainly got no trouble charging. Alright. Daylight saving is pointless. All it does is create heart attacks. I wonder if there's stuff under there that we've missed. I didn't want to have to do this, but guess I'm going to have to do this. Hey, my repair. Yeah. Yeah, and as expected, there's basically nothing wrong under there. Now we have violated the seal. Ah, Jim's still with us. Don't mention the war, yeah. It'll make you start walking around the place with funny elevated leg kicks. And this is what I mean by what is nice with the M1s is, yeah, they've protected all these crucial areas. It's not to say that it can't get damaged, but the chances are substantially lower. I'm just going across and seeing if there's maybe something else I've missed. Maybe I was a little hasty. But as I said, we are getting 20 volts, so it's interesting. Just going to put this heatsink back on. So this section should be fine. Like I said, we're getting 20 volts, so basically all of this should be okay. Sorry about the jump around there. Yeah, maybe there's another part that I missed. And it's charging, so our ISL must be fine. And I would love to know what that bong noise was that we heard way back at the start. Yes, we'll have to do voltage measurements, lo and behold. As disappointing as that is. But I think it's getting a bit late, and so I think it's time for me to haul it in for the night and continue on tomorrow. Yep, I think we'll make it a tomorrow event. I'm sorry, everybody. Just starting to, feel that pinch of tiredness, and that's when you start committing to doing things that perhaps you shouldn't commit to do. And before you know it, you've changed from being in a situation where there was a chance of recovery to a situation where there's absolutely no chance of recovery. What I will do, however, is put this heatsink back on. Come on, what are you doing? Did you check the Windows PC you're working on for the bong? I did not, no. It just seemed a little close to be that one, given how bad my hearing is. I mean, it's entirely possible it was that one. Although it was already booted, that's the other thing. It was booted and we just shut it, just closed the lid down. So it's just one of those things where it doesn't seem to fit. Okay. Alright. Well, that's done. Just put that aside. Hopefully tomorrow my microscope camera will turn up. That'll be nice. Because once that's done, that's essentially the 60 frames per second upgrade done on this whole system. So we ended up doing a hell of a lot of things. What did we do? We changed the computer. We went from an 8400 CPU to the 12500. We bought this camera here, which is the Sony AX33. And we even went out and bought an NVIDIA T400 card so that we could do the encoding. The main reason we did the T400 though seems to be because right now the drivers for the Alder Lake, the 12th generation Intel CPUs, seems to be rather poor. I think that once they have matured, then I should be able to run this rig without the T400 card. Although the question will be then, will I even bother? I might just keep it in there. And yeah, I think that's about everything. Yeah, so basically we're just waiting on the 60 frames per second microscope camera. This one was listed as 60, but when you look at the small print, it actually says the capture rate is 30, and it's just simply providing a 60 frames per second version of what it captures, so it just double pumps. What do you mean we? You mean it's a habit, I say we. Yeah. Then I'm also thinking of I've got myself and Alita here, and after this, the old machine, the 8400, I need to convert into a gaming machine because Alita's birthday is coming up soon and she wants a gaming machine. So I've 8400. It's a pretty decent machine. And so I just need to get a new solid state drive for it. I'll get another NVMe, although that one will actually take the SATA ones because I only had 240 Western Digital Green in there, so it's not really up to the pace. I'll probably put another 500 NVMe into it. What else? Graphics card. I've got a 1030, and they'll probably be fine for what we're doing. I think a 1030, and that way I don't have to use extra power cords or anything like that. If I could find a 1050 that runs purely off the PCIe slot, that'd be great. But I haven't seen too many of them around at decent prices. Yeah, so I've got a 1030. That's about it, and that'll work for most of the things that we're going to do. We'll plug it up to our. We've got a 55-inch LG 4K screen, so it'll connect up to that perfectly fine. We'll run it HD. We won't be able to run it at 4K though. Will she be a Linux user? No, we'll actually run Windows 10 on that. For her other machine, she now has my 21-inch 2013 iMac, which used to be behind me, but she's now got that, so that's good. I will probably get another 2013. Oh, hey.
They're all in. I'm going to bed.
Oh, okay. I was just rambling about you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Means we're all with you.
Yeah. Oh, sounds good. No, I mean, yeah. Just talking about we have to get the gaming machine.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So. Yep. All right. Yeah. She's just checking on me. She says she's going to go to sleep, but really, what she's meaning is she's spying on me because she heard me talking about her. I'm sure something like that. 1030. I don't know which. It's a fanless one too. It's just a heatsink base, so that suits me nicely. Buy a SSD. Oh yeah, I see the price is going up because there was the contamination on the Western Digital NANds. I saw that, and I have got an order in there. All right. Well, I think that's enough for me tonight. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it. I know sometimes we can have long streams and nothing really interesting happens, but it's nice to be able to sit here and have you guys peering over the back of my shoulder, and of course I just tell you to get stuffed if you get too annoying, or I can always kill the stream. It's a shame we didn't get the yoga. It's a shame I didn't capture that one on video, but at least we found that broken dead cat. What was it that we just fixed? Oh, it was on this one, yeah. Let's see, memory. I need to get some sleep. I'm out of here. You all take care, and I'll see you tomorrow probably. Catch you later.